So next month, are we still moving this next month?
Brinkman, you ready to kick this thing off and be the star of the show with no Gibby?
Hey, Gibby's away on one of his 37 weeks of paid vacation this week. When the cat's away, the mice are going to play. Let's have fun.
Live from the Justin Livestream Network studios, Scrib and Gib.
Well, he's on vacation, but we've replaced him. We've upgraded the studio. Your and Gibby spot, way more intelligent.
True.
Don't like the dress code. We've upgraded with the new activities director at New Richmond, Mr. Jason Wolf, and I've upgraded Moose's seat. I mean, look at me. It still fails every now and then, but I do look good. Nah, I don't.
No, not really. No, you do. You look good back there, buddy. It's a slimming chair that you sit in. How's that?
Well, I know, but we don't get to talk to Moose about his workout activities this week. Catching up on his newest best drink he's coming out with, Moose Muscle.
Moose Muscle Milk.
Yeah, that's true.
Moose Muscle Milk. Well, welcome everyone to the Lindis booth here for the Scrib and Gib podcast. I'm just going to go ahead and say it just so everybody understands this. This is the new activities director of New Richmond School District. This is Mr. Jason Wolf. He's going to be sitting in with us today. We're going to go through a couple things first, and then we're going to dive right into meeting the man, the myth, the legend, the new activities director.
I like it. And I think you got some good stuff over there, Brinkman. What do you got?
Well, I think if we're going to do a Vital Systems stat of the week, thank you, Vital Systems, for all you do in supporting the podcast. I know we say it every week. Maybe they're not even the hottest team in baseball anymore. Maybe they're the hottest team in professional sports. They're doing so well.
You're talking about the Milwaukee Brewers, Milwaukee Brewers.
The Milwaukee Brewers are now having a 10-game winning streak. Okay, so that's going to be stat number one. But, Vital Systems, they do so much for us. I think they can have two stats this week. The Milwaukee Brewers have the best record in baseball at plus 30 games over 500. The next closest team is the Philadelphia Phillies, 10 games back of that. Amazing season by the Brewers.
Yeah, obviously I'm a huge Brewers fan, and we found out Jason is too. And that's why I like him so much, because he's a true Wisconsinite. Born in Wisconsin, cheers for Wisconsin teams, not that purple junk.
It's nonstop, Jason. It's nonstop. So, Jason, we talked a little bit before we went live here, but
a little bit,
yeah, for an hour. But what do you see when you watch this Brewers baseball team this year?
I just love the fact that there's no real stars. I mean, you never know who's gonna. They have great players, but they didn't go out and spend $100 million on somebody just to bolster the lineup or something. They just, they do a great job of trading and bringing people up within their system and just plug and play. And I think they have, great direction at the top, just letting, these young guys develop. And the neat thing is every night somebody different is going to be the person that steps up and makes plays for you. And that's always the sign of a good team, because you're not counting on one or two people. And I think that's what's so exciting about watching the Brewers this year.
Yeah, I would agree. I just love their lineup. I mean, you don't got all-stars. I mean, you do have all-stars, but you don't have these $400 million players, right? You got Christian Yelich. What I really like best about Yelich, he's not in the field. He's just DHing. If we can get him to the postseason healthy, I think that's going to be huge. And what I love about him is you're just seeing him being a true leader, Jason, right? He's leading these guys, showing them how to play baseball the right way. Waiting on a if they're up by 10, he still walks when he could be swinging for his own stats. But that's just who that guy is, and I think everybody's learning from it. And just line up top to bottom. If somebody's not having a good week or a good day, somebody else picks them up. I mean, they're just hitting top to bottom. And they're not all hitting 400, you know what I mean? But it's just at the right moment, the guys get hot, and they're moving people around, and they're not hitting nonstop homers. They play baseball the right way. Not a lot of errors, timely hits, running the bases smartly, and always moving on the base pass. That's what I like. Yes. If there's an error, count it for an extra base. Last night, I don't know if you watched the game last night, I did not expect Sal Frelick to, it was Frelick or Vaughn. No, Vaughn bunt up the first base line. they're up 5-1. He bunts it to get him to 6-1. It was just a great play and almost was a signal because the pitcher was not ready for it. But it was a great play, and I think that's what's fun. Pat Murphy's got him playing great, even with the pancake in his back pocket.
What a fun conversation for Mr. and Mrs. Murphy to have each day. Honey, what time you want me to have your pancakes ready to go to the stadium?
That is something. That's something.
Awesome. And now the Brewers are serving them on Sundays at Brewer games. They have, yeah.
Well, why wouldn't you? And then, but you think about what they're doing in this season, and they got a huge series coming up, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier. They're going to have a 5-game series starting off with a doubleheader next week against the Cubs. And, guy like me, get 2 out of 3, you're doing okay. But if you get 3 out of 2, you're really doing good. So it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun series, but this is what you want.
3 out of 2? Is that Turtle Lake math?
3 out of 5.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I had to throw it out there so Gibby gets a chuckle.
Okay.
I was
yes.
trying to see if you guys would catch me on it.
Well, I did. Trust me.
Yeah.
I did.
One thing that we got to also just call out, man, to the people of Milwaukee, all the flooding, that is just crazy. I saw a Facebook post from a classmate of mine. A couple of my classmates were down on Saturday. As of Sunday afternoon, their vehicle was still in the bottom of the Potawatomi parking garage.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just devastation. And I didn't even know what was happening. All of a sudden, we got some rain in and around here, but my gosh, that's that's crazy.
Some Richmond guys that I graduated with were down there this weekend for Friday and Saturday's games. And they got 5 3/4 inches of rain while they were in the stadium.
I know. Some of those areas got 10 to 14. But going back to one thing I picked up on, you said graduated with. So did you pay the principal to sign your diploma?
This is what I put up with every week, Jason.
Well, just so you know, with the new activities director like we have, that won't fly anymore, buddy.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to make sure you know that.
Hey, we're gonna skip talking about the Twins this week because on
the top of though, I think your speech helped them. They've won a few games, so give credit to your pep talk.
That's like being called the 3rd prettiest girl in Iowa. I mean, come on, it's just horrible. What was it against Kansas City? Yeah, they're
a win is a win, buddy. Take them when you can get them because you guys have not had too many lately.
That's very true. Hey, let's next move on. We're going to talk about the Cedar Lake Speedway race to the finish. And I'm going to take this one right now and say I am excited to see the finish of preseason football. I saw all I needed to see last Saturday afternoon, the Vikings, Saturday night watching the Packers. You got Justin Jefferson out with a hamstring injury already. You got Jordan Love having a procedure today on his non-throwing thumb. Rondale Moore, the Vikings signed him after he missed all of last year with a torn up right knee. They signed him to a 1-year deal to be their punt returner. He returned 1 punt Saturday for 2 yards and was hit out of bounds and completely decimated his other knee. So he's done for the season. So my Cedar Lake race to the finish this week is going to be, let's keep moving along with preseason football and get to the regular season.
Well, the question I have for all the Viking fans, did you buy your Super Bowl tickets after the big win by J.J. McCarthy, or are you on the selling fence?
No, we are just like every other NFL fan. We are just in the portal to get the lottery tickets to get your Super Bowl tickets. It's going to happen one of these years, buddy. It's going to happen.
It's not going to happen in our lifetime, just so you guys know.
Boy, if I spend, if I live another 30 years, and that would mean that I've had season tickets. I started in '99, so. Oh, my gosh. I'm in 27 years.
57 years, just math.
Yeah. Even if that's Turtle Lake math, that's a long time. So they got to get me one, don't they? They just got to get me one. So
Jason, what do you say on that one, yes or no?
Oh, I'd be happy for them.
I wouldn't.
I would.
Sorry. Hey, we also got to talk about some exciting news that happened on this past Sunday. The MRT 25 road trip dropped. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. We showed some highlights of the boys, 10 seniors from this year, Jason. So if you're not aware of it, we'll name them again, see if I can do it. Joe Hepner was the leader. He plans it all. So if you'll get to know the Hepner family. He plans all their trips, or the kids do. But it's to the minute, or to the hour, I would say. Yeah. Really cool. So Joe Hepner, Jacob Stenseth, Stephen Chapman, Bjorn Bonneman, Gage Fox, Bennett Scribner, Aiden Eckert, Canton Langness, Zaylen Sweet, and I missed one. I do it every time.
Did you miss your son?
No, I said him. We got to get him because if I don't get them all, Joe Hepner. Come on.
You know what? You nailed it the last time, so I thought you probably had it this
know.
time, and I didn't.
I feel like I missed somebody there.
I don't think so.
Bjorn Bonneman, Stephen Chapman, Zaylen Sweet, Gage Fox,
Yep.
Joe Hepner, Jacob Stenseth, Bennett and Aiden, Brody Jackson.
Yep. I think you got them all. I
If I didn't, I apologize, guys. But what a road trip. So, Jason, last year, 8 of the 10 went on a trip last year out west for 7 days all the way out to the Grand Tetons. This year, they want 14 days, 5,000 miles, which is crazy to think. And the videos, the highlights, you got to see it. We'll post it. We'll push it out. 2 sections. They're about an hour 15, hour 20 each one, but it's just awesome. They're in the glacier for 3 days. They're in the Cascades for 5. They hit Seattle, Mount Rainier for 2 or 3 days, Idaho, and then they finished up in the Grand Tetons. A couple of them hiked Middle Teton to the top for over 12,000 feet, and 4 of them stayed on top of in a Sahel Glacier Mountain Camp. So just a great group of kids. I would agree. I think this town's going to miss them. The athletic coaches and community will miss them. But I think what we also got to realize is the foundation they left and, the stories they left and the leadership they left. So it'll be exciting to see. But watch it. Trust me, watch it. And then somebody will tell me who I missed.
So I'm having a former Richmond athlete is painting the interior of my house this week, Blake Milton. He was the goalie of the year in Wisconsin when Richmond won state. Great guy. Anyways, he has Nick Salmon, a former amazing baseball player and football player for New Richmond, helping him, as well as Stephen Chapman, who is one of the guys that went on the road trip this year. And I think I heard 7 times about it that I had to make sure I watched He told me it was 2 hours and 40 minutes, so that's all I know. He said, you should have been watching it last night so we could have discussed it. And for 8 of these kids, it was their second year in a row doing this. And, I was a kid growing up where if I would ask my parents when I was 18 years old, hey, Mom, I'm borrowing the car. Dad, we're going out to – they were in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
They were from here, and my parents would have, told me to go stand in the corner until I realized I was stupid. But these kids have done it now 2 years in a row. They're amazing pictures. Just crazy. You're watching these kids, and they're in a lake on top of a mountain, and the whole mountain's covered with snow. And this was 3 weeks ago, and they're jumping into it and stuff like that. So just an awesome thing for these kids to get to experience. And
it was 38 degrees when they jumped in. I did get a little, after watching the one, because we were watching with Bennett, he said, because one of the things the parents we talked about is no peer pressure, like don't pressure them. But they did kind of say when they would all jump in and there'd always be a few left over, it wasn't as much as the peer pressure, just the pressure of wanting to do it all. Yeah. And it was cool. But I do have all the names. So I'm going to say it one more time so nobody can complain. So we got Canton Langness, Gage Fox, Bjorn Bonneman, Bennett Scribner, Zaylen Sweet, Joe Hepner, Stephen Chapman, Aiden Eckert, Jacob Stenseth, and Brody Jackson. Yeah. So I said it right 2 out of the 3 times.
Yeah, you did a good job with it.
Got to go watch it. It'll be fun. But just so you know, they've started a trend. So a group of juniors that'll be seniors this year went on a road trip too. So nice. I think it's a trend that these guys started. So they like to call them the best friend group of New Richmond's, the hockey GC group chat.
Yeah, and they've been friends since they were young, and we're gonna miss that group of kids in Richmond, both boys and girls, athletically, I think, and walking the hallways, leadership wise, I think you're gonna miss a lot of their good qualities. Quickly, one last thing, because we need to dive in with him because he is a wealth of sports information. We're going to learn a lot about the new activities director today. But congratulations to Ryan Stevens and the Richmond Millers. They made it back to state here. I saw that they won the regional on Saturday or Sunday, I believe. They beat a team that was undefeated. So they're going back to state this year for baseball. So congratulations to the Richmond Millers.
Yeah, it's cool. I know a couple of I don't know if any of the younger guys are playing this year. I know Bennett played 1 or 2 games. I think Max Krutovic's played a couple. So I don't know if any of those guys are playing, but that's awesome. It's just fun to see the 2 years in a row. Legion made it 2 years in a row, and now the Millers made it 2 years in a row. So that's great. But hey, let's get into this. The new activities director of New Richmond High School, the one and only Mr. Jason Wolf. Jason, welcome to the show. And hopefully you don't mind putting up with Scrib and Gib on football, Brinkman on other sports, but it's good to have you on the podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and kind of your journey to teaching and then to where you're at now.
All right. Well, first, thanks for having me. It's I'm just, it's funny because I'm like in permagrin mode. I really love being here at New Richmond. I've been in the area for, man, oh man, it's been a long time. 20 some years, almost 30 years, and
you're the enemy.
I was the enemy. I was at River Falls for 25 years, but. This has just been a place, I can go back to even when I first moved here, and my dad was getting ready to retire from teaching and get moved over here. And we lived in their house, actually, my wife and I, because we had the 2 little kids. And I had talked to Joe Hutter about just joining the football staff here, So it's been something that I've always loved New Richmond. I've wanted to be a part of it, and now to be able to be a part of it, it's just it's been great. But I know you asked, growing up, I grew up actually on the like you talked about being the enemy. I know I'm the enemy here because I'm a big Packer fan. I grew up by Green Bay, north of Green Bay, in a town called Marinette, Wisconsin, and it's right on the border with Michigan. It's Marinette Menominee. They have the Marinette Menominee. It's called the M&M game, and it's the oldest interstate rivalry in the nation. And so it's grew up, with some, I love athletics and just, little things like that. I enjoy, the history and things like that. So, but I grew up in Marinette, and it was a paper mill town. It was a blue collar town, and unfortunately, after I graduated, 3 of the paper mills were bought out and relocated and shut down. But and it was kind of a weird thing for the town because they went from a town of just under 13,000 people, they dropped down to under 8,000 people, and then we had also had a shipbuilding place in town and a foundry and some other industry, and especially Marinette Marine got a lot of Navy contracts, and it's built back up where they're around close to 10,000 people again, and I think also just on the rise as far as athletics and that. We were actually in the years I was there, we were a very good athletic town. We had I was a part of 2 basketball championships, and we won the baseball my senior year. I was a part of that team, and just a lot of good athletic talent in that town, and it was fun growing up. Fun little fact was that my biggest high school rivalry in basketball was a guy named Tony Bennett. Which,
not the singer. Brinkman, not the singer. You probably don't know who Tony Bennett is. Not the singer. Okay.
But yeah, so I got to, he was one of my biggest rivals, and the way our careers went, I ended up playing college football. He played college basketball. He got the best of me. But, fun thing is kind of our senior year was the first year they ever had the 3-point line. Kind of dates me a little bit here. But with the 3-point line, Tony just went off. He was a sharpshooter from deep, and he had just some amazing stats in that. And we were both our senior year 20-0, heading into the WIAA playoffs. And because we played each other first round of the playoffs, that's kind of what led to them starting to seed things. We were number 1 and 5 in the state, and here we played each other first round. Never, didn't get to build up to the game or anything like that. So it was, it was kind of some neat times. It's
hold on. Oh. Who got the best of? Did you beat them or?
Now we ended up 20-1. Tony's team made it to state. I think they lost in the semifinals, but
who was his coach?
Oh, I can't think.
Because it wasn't his dad. Because his dad was already at UWGB, right? Yeah.
He was. His last name was Wall. I can't remember. It was Coach Wall, and at Green Bay Preble.
Yeah. So here's a question. I mean, I didn't think about this when we were talking earlier. Were you rivals, but were you somewhat friends? Did you know each other? And do you have any contact with them now?
We have. So we were rivals. We went to camps together, and we knew each other that way. But I wouldn't say like we hung out. Again, even Marinette was an hour away, so
No.
it wasn't like I was in the there playing in the Green Bay leagues or anything like that. Which a lot of that's what everybody does now is play summer leagues and stuff. So we didn't really have that. So, but we knew each other and respected each other. And he actually, my dad, being a professional basketball shooting coach, did a lot of work with Dick Bennett and Tony Bennett. And so through the years, we still. I have his number, and I was kind of joking. I had my dad. I told my dad to text him. I figured he'd get back to my dad quicker than me when I knew we had the basketball opening this past summer when we were looking for a new basketball coach. I was like, "Hey, Tony's out, Dad. Hey, shoot him a text for me so see if he's interested in New Richmond High School." But
Here, go back to that game because you told us something a little bit earlier. 20-0. He got the best of you. What was the game like?
Oh, it was a good game. It was kind of cool because they had to change venues for the games 3 times. They kept selling out and tried to go to bigger schools, and they even tried to get the Brown County Arena, but they wouldn't let us have it because that's where they hosted WIA sectionals, and they felt it would be a violation, so we couldn't do that. But we went to, I think we ended up playing at Green Bay Southwest, which was new at the time. They had monitors in in all the lobbies and the cafeterias, and the place was just packed. And But second quarter, I went up for a jump shot, and he boxed me out, and I landed on his foot, and I rolled my ankle, and it was a pretty bad ankle sprain. By the time it was second half, the fourth quarter, my leg was black and blue all the way up to past my knee, and it was. But we had a lead going into the fourth quarter, but we just couldn't hang on, and you often think, what, if I hadn't got injured, what would have happened? But, it was just, you just look back and you just learn from those things and you just appreciate them, all that you do, and just look back and just really enjoyed the time. And, being in high school athletics now, that's what I love about it because that's where all these memories are made.
Yeah, and just think, you would have never came out of that game.
No.
Not a chance. And nowadays, you don't know if a trainer would have pulled you, but it's good, but it's also like, back then, guys weren't coming out of a key game like that, and that's a great story. And I think that's what's exciting, to have somebody. I love those stories. But what's interesting is you played against, candidly, one of the best basketball players in the state, one of the biggest names in the state. Again, not the singer Tony Bennett. With what Tony ended up accomplishing, right, winning a national title at Virginia as a coach. Great career at UWGB. His dad ended up being a coach at Madison. But yet, let's think about it. You went, and you were a Bulldog. You went and played football?
Yes. I know that's one of the strange things. As I mentioned, my dad was a professional shooting coach. He was the high school coach. My high school coach was Bruce Parkovich, which I wanted to mention him because he's heading into the Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame this year. And
that's awesome.
It is, and it was great to play for him. And it was Bennett ball. It was all about defense, and you it was what we were told is you rest on offense.
Yeah.
You give everything you got on defense, and then you rest on offense. And but then my dad took over for him as the varsity basketball coach, and he actually got to coach my 3 younger brothers. So I'm one of 4 boys in the family. I'm the oldest of 4 boys, and they ganged up and picked on me all the time, but I still made it through. But but it was one of those things funny that my dad was so involved with basketball, and all 4 of us boys ended up going and playing defensive back for the Bulldogs up in Duluth.
So all 4 played basketball. 3 out of 4 got coached by your dad, Mr. Jay Wolf, and you all go and play football. That's interesting. But it's also cool that you all went and played at UMD. That's a lineage, right? You hear about that stuff. I think that's more common back in the day than it is now, but that's cool. So, who was the best?
Oh, man, that's hard to say. We all had our attributes. I think I had the most career interceptions. I led the league 2 years, and my brother, I know my next brother, Andy, who's a teacher in Amory, and he's a football coach up there, and he held the record for a while for most games started in a row, and most career games started, and he had a good career. And then my 2 younger brothers, my brother Dale was a starting corner, And he was probably the best all-around athlete of all of us. And then my other brother, Ryan, was another safety. So, like I said, we all had our attributes, but, it's hard to say who was the best.
That's... You can say it. Maybe then they want to call in and have a little rebuttal. But I think that's cool. That's 16 years of college sports, college football for the Bulldogs, for the Wolf family. I mean, I think that's awesome. And then I think you said you're a graduate assistant there. But then, how did you get into teaching?
Well, like you said, I was a grad assistant, that allowed me to finish up my second major. I was a double major in health education and physical education, and that's kind of what got me the job. Nowadays we don't know how many applicants we're going to get. Education it's just a tough field to pull applicants and for young people to go into. And but when I was first coming out of college, I know I had to apply to over 250. I know I did like 258 applications. I remember it because they let me into the high school. I went back home. I went back home and they let me into it wasn't even a computer lab, it was the typewriter lab. And they let me in there to type out all the applications, and I ended up getting 3 interviews. So
out of 258?
Out of 258.
So I don't know if that's good or bad yet, but first of all, if people don't know what a typewriter is, that's before computers. So helping you out there, Brinkman. But that is unreal. 258 applications. I think that's interesting now because at my real job, I interview a lot of people, but same thing, like you get a posting, you don't get that many applicants anymore, but to think 258 and you only got 3 callbacks, that's crazy. But it used to be, everybody wanted to be a teacher, right? I mean, that's just how it was.
It was, and it is still a great field, and I love the fact that I'm in education, absolutely love it. And, but I ended up in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, place I had never even heard of. I went to Duluth, but I wasn't, from the Twin Cities.
You weren't. You were smart. You're a Wisconsin guy.
I was from the Green Bay area, so I didn't know, any of these cities. I just knew Minneapolis, St. Paul. I didn't know all the suburbs and that, but ended up in Robbinsdale and coached at Robbinsdale Cooper for 3 years. I had a great. I coached football there, and. Started out as their 10th grade coach, then moved up to their D coordinator, and then ended as the co-head coach. And we lost in the state quarterfinals my last year there to Eden Prairie, who still is in the
Coach Mike Grant,
every
right?
year. Coach Mike Grant, yeah. It was, a funny little thing is the bus showed up, and then he showed up with a station wagon and parked next to the team locker rooms. And in the back of the station wagon was duck decoys. It was opening day the next day for duck season. So he's a big hunter, and he and his wife ended up just leaving straight from the game, not going back on the team bus or anything. They went straight out west to get some duck hunting in. So
that's interesting.
Yes.
That's
the Grant family.
I was going to say that's the Grant
100%.
family.
Yes.
That's the Grant family. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what led you back to the great state of Wisconsin?
Well, I was lucky enough to get, during that time as a coach at Robbinsdale, I just wanted to keep getting better as a coach, so I'd keep working football camps and different things. And one of the camps I worked each year was the Big O, Big D football camp down in River Falls. And after, a couple years of working it, kept talking with Coach O'Grady, and he just kept kind of like, hey, you should come and coach here sometime. You should come and coach, and I didn't really think about it, But then, at that point in my life, I just gotten married and no kids or anything. And I'm like, I'm going to give this college, coaching a try. So I joined the Falcons back in, 1998 and did that for a couple of years. And it's funny, I mean, it's for people who know, I came from Webster this past year. I live in Hammond, commuted to Webster every day, which is about a little under an hour and a half drive.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, it's quick in the winter after 10 inches of snow.
It sure is beautiful.
Yeah, the trees.
But back then, so my wife and I had built a house in St. Michael, Minnesota. I taught in Robbinsdale and then was coaching at UW River Falls. So I was making that loop every night. So from about from July until the end of the football season in November.
Hey, has anybody checked him if he's sane? I mean, that is how many miles is that loop?
Oh, I don't know, but all I know is that
You loved it.
I loved it, but there was one night I pull into and went to hit my garage door opener, and all of a sudden the garage door opener started going, and all I could see was smoke, and I thought it was my garage, but my engine blew. It finally gave out on me. I had an old car that I was making the loop with, and it finally said enough of this trip. So all of a sudden the engine blew. That was it. So, but the nice thing is, Meyer Middle School had a opening for Fayed, and I ended up getting the job, moving to River Falls, then still coaching with Coach O'Grady, and until we had kids, and then that was back in the day. Like now, everyone's got it so nice with Huddle.
Yeah.
They can go home, watch film, do whatever. Back then, we had 5 different VCRs stacked on each other, and we're cutting film, and I was low man on the totem pole, so I was doing that.
Sure. I know what that's like.
I was meeting in the middle of nowhere, at some bar or a restaurant to do film exchange, like hand films off with Platteville and Whitewater and all these different places, and now they just send it all through the computers, but. So it was a different world back then, and you didn't get to see your families a whole lot. Yeah. So when we started having kids, my wife and I talked, and that's when I transitioned to coaching high school sports. And
that was down in River Falls, right?
That was down in River Falls.
So you were the enemy.
I was the enemy.
The enemy.
25 years, yes.
All right, so you're down there. You just said you went up to Webster for a year for the principal, right?
Correct, yes.
And he was a Tiger. He was a Tiger before you knew he was going to be a Tiger, a Webster Tiger, but now you're back at New Richmond, or not back at, sorry, now you're at New Richmond. So why New Richmond? What brought you to New Richmond?
Well, New Richmond is a place that, like I said earlier, I had lived in New Richmond back, right around 2000, and asked Coach Hutter. I tried to get on staff even back then, because it just, it's just a great town. Just love it. Just love the area, and but it ended up it didn't work out at the time. And I had coached as the head coach at Prescott for a while. I was the head coach at River Falls High School for a while. All of this in football. I had coached middle school basketball all of those years. It was I just have a blast with that age group as well. But when I went to Webster and was the principal, it was a great. I really enjoyed it, and the people up there are amazing, so supportive, and it's just a neat small community that really rallies around their schools, and so absolutely loved it. But I will admit, now that I'm not, when I was making the earlier commute, we talked about my big loop from St. Michael to, at that time I was 25 years old, 26 years old. I'm not that anymore. So, the drive was kind of getting to me. And like you said, in the winter, you never knew how long that drive was going to be. And so, but the biggest thing is, when I was interviewed, they asked me, they go, you're a principal. Why do you want to now be an assistant principal and activities director? That's kind of a step backwards if you look in the profession, if you want to label your jobs and things like that.
I get it.
But to me, that wasn't the case at all. How you could tell here already. I love talking athletics.
Yeah, I can tell.
And this has always been my dream job, is to be an activities director, athletic director, whatever you want to call it. To have that opportunity in a place like New Richmond where it's just growing and developing, and amazing athletes. You have good, the coaches here and all of that, and just again a community that rallies around your activities in the high school, and and even youth sports. I'm just looking at that. You have a community that athletics means something to people, and so with all of that happening, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to apply, and lucky enough to get the position here, and it's been permagrin for me ever since. I've been loving it.
Well, I think it's great. And the one thing I will say now. People who listen know I've already said this before, that I don't think it's you're taking a step back. I think if anything, being in the Big Rivers, I don't know how everything is done in the Big Rivers, but I do think that this is a full-time job of being the activities director. I've said that on this cast for years. I'll say it to anyone. I think the amount of work that goes into to be running at the level we are, playing Division I schools, half the size of some of these schools, I think it's a full-time job, and I think I would lobby any day for them to give you just the full activities director. I think it's something that would help. But I think it's a great story. Like, you're a guy who loves athletics. You love coaching. You're doing what you love. I get it, man. You sold me there. Brinkman, did he sell you?
Well, I think he talks about a very good point. You and I have had this conversation many times. People think that you're the activities director at Richmond. You're responsible for popcorn at football games and
Some of the best popcorn.
Some of the best popcorn
yeah.
and hot dogs at the big track meet. But that's not true, because you're not just the athletic director. You are the activities director of a school of 1,050 kids. I think, are we the only school in the Big Rivers that has an activities director now? I think we might be. I thought I've heard that. But tell everybody the difference between an athletic director and activities director, because 80% of the people you meet out there have no clue that there's even a difference.
Right. And I think, the community often hears, athletics is more something that I think, trying to search the word here, but it brings the community together, a lot of public events. So people know all about the athletics part of things. But, we also, if you put the two together, we have 53 activities. And so, if you look at 20-some sports and then you have another 30 activities, and these, this can be, things within the music department. They can be things, just different clubs for the students, esports and just different things like that.
Ice fishing.
Yep, they have an ice fishing club. So, there's a lot of different clubs.
Band, choir, orchestra.
Yep. All those things. Although I will say this, that the mealies are amazing. And
so you only got 51?
Yes, exactly. They do an amazing job, and they're so great to work with, and they take a lot of the music things, which is very helpful to me.
Yeah.
So I'm very appreciative of that. But there are just so many, when you think about, you got to find people to help, run all these clubs and do all those different things. And that's all part of the kind of the job description that
that's what you signed up for, right?
Exactly. And I love, being in education this long. Right now, we're starting school with all the construction projects early. Next week we're already having students. And that's way ahead of the rest of the state. But so we've had a teacher in service this week, and when just seeing the teachers come back, it just excites me every year.
Oh, wow.
And I know there's a lot of people that moan and groan, like, oh, I got to go back to my job or this and that. I absolutely love education, and I love the opportunities that we have for all of these students, both on the activities side and the athletic side. And so that's, I think, just what's so exciting for me to be a part of this position.
Hey, I'm so excited they're going back next week. I'm tired of these kids at home. I'm just driving them everywhere. Holy smokes.
So, Jason, let's say it's a typical Tuesday night in the fall or a Tuesday night in the spring. You've got
baseball, soccer, and track.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, going. What time are you getting to school in the morning? Or what time do you anticipate getting to school in the morning? What time do you anticipate leaving?
It's it's going to be long days. I know that, and anyone who takes this position knows that. It's one of those things where that time is. I have an amazing wife. I will tell you that. I waited to transition to. I waited to transition to administration. I'm late in the game. As far as I'm older.
Yeah, I get it.
No argument about that. But I did it because my family means a lot to me. I told you I left college coaching the first time. I went back to college coaching later in my career. But it was, I wanted to be able to follow my kids. And I have a
Love
son who's 25, and I have a daughter who's 23. They both got married this past winter. Anna and Nathan both got married in a matter of 3 weeks, which, the Wolf House was really hopping during that time.
Although at the same time as you're getting finishing one job, starting a new job.
Well, he said last winter, so it was that just happened to be the 3 weeks where the drive from Hammond to Webster was 4 hours each way. And honey, I'd love to be there, but there's a moose on the road. There's oh, you wouldn't believe it. I was leaving early tonight to come home and help you, and by golly, there's a herd of chickens out there. Yeah.
But no, I have an amazing wife who knows that. Her dad was a coach. She was an all-state athlete herself. She was an all-state basketball player for Forest Lake High School. She's in their Hall of Fame. Something I can't say. But so she understands what it takes. And so I mean, it's one of those things that to get all those events organized, it's really an organizational job.
Yeah.
And so just trying to, and the school does a great job where they allow me to go out and get event coordinators for different things. So, I just kind of, make sure and help put it together. I got to give an amazing shout out to Beth Gould, my assistant. She is amazing. And so we just work on, right now our big three prioritizing is make sure we got buses, make sure we have officials, and make sure you have event workers. And if we can do those things, then we can allow it and then hand things off to other people too to help us out with that.
I think you covered something that's kind of interesting there. One, amazing wife, right? I get that because I have the same thing. I know what it's like. Anyway, the other thing, though, that I think that you kind of left out there, I think, is the fact that when it's going to be a long day, I know there's family, but you don't really care because you're doing what you love is watching sports. I know how it is. We go week after week because we're big into basketball with my girls and stuff for softball. And it's like, oh, we got nothing to do. What do? We go call up, hey, who's got a game we can go watch? It's like, I'm thinking to myself, Lindsay, let's just stay home. But it's like, it's what we do, right? When you love sports, you want to go watch them. And it doesn't matter what level.
Exactly.
It's fun. It is so fun. That's cool. I love I love that answer because I could tell that, like you said, permagrin. I can see it.
Yeah. And listening to you for the last 42 minutes, I guess we've been on here now, 42. Your passion for education comes through, and you sell yourself short on the fact that your wife is in the Forest Lake Hall of Fame. Well, just so you know, Scrib's not in the Forest Lake Hall of Fame neither, buddy. So don't worry about it, okay?
That's I would never live in that state.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so we're rolling with everything now. Is everything up and operating I mean, are all sports in?
They are not. Actually, a few start next week.
Who starts?
Volleyball, soccer still.
Volleyball start. They didn't start yet?
No.
Oh, I thought they did.
No, I think that's right. I think they are next
tennis
week.
Started.
Yeah.
I had to drop
Tennis
Grayson
started,
off
football.
at 6 a.m.
Yeah. So we have football started last week, and we have tennis and golf going on. We got volleyball and soccer next week, and
cross country too next week.
Cross country. Oh man, I honestly can't remember.
I think you named it all.
That's
one
it
question.
all runs together.
I got a couple more questions if I can. Because I get asked this, and I'm just like, you mean the city and the center of the state or the middle of the state? Lacrosse. Is that something that's on the horizon for Richmond? Has it not even been talked about? I mean, I get it. You've been on the job for a month, but I mean, is lacrosse becoming that big of a sport in this state?
Can I answer first? I hope not. And the reason why I say that is because I think it's actually a fun sport. It's not something I ever played, but my concern is we need to get, in order for another sport to come to like a town like New Richmond, I get we're growing, but maybe we're growing, but we're also losing athletes. And we have to figure out how to get more athletes out to support more sports. I mean, it's a legitimate question that has to be solved. How do we get more people playing sports?
Yeah. And that's a hard thing. I mean, that's one of the things that I want to, I feel when you come into a new place, my job is, evaluate and adjust. It's not about making change right now. I mean, you have a great system, and I mean, honestly, New Richmond from Dr. Miller to our administrators to everybody, everyone who I've been meeting with, have just been so supportive and wanting success. And not just, and success isn't just the wins and losses, it's participation, like you said. And the more opportunities we have, as far as lacrosse goes, it's one of those things that I know is growing, and it's growing in the area. Hudson broke into their own team now. And so, that's, I think, kind of raised a lot of questions, and I've been getting some emails and phone calls, about the direction of lacrosse. But, right now we don't have enough to support, sustain our own program. But I know, like with co-oping with hockey and things like that, I know those are things that it's not in the works right now, but it's one of those things that we're looking at and, having meetings about it.
One last question for you. Again, thanks. It's you'll hear my name come up plenty of times. I'm the guy that sends an email every week saying that the announcers of events should get paid more, especially for soccer, hockey, track, and field. Better high school basketball player, Tony or Kathy Bennett?
Oh man, I just know Tony better, so I go with Tony. But yeah, that's an amazing question. You're right.
I mean, when you were 5 years old, she must have just been the stud. I suppose 1 hour away was a long ways away back then, but I
didn't have social media and everything else.
Yeah, that's the tough part. People, when you talk about that generational thing, we didn't have all the followings that you have now to be able to, you hear of her, but honestly, being in Marinette, we had our own paper. We had,
sure.
So it was like, you didn't really hear a whole lot about that. But I heard she was amazing. That's for sure.
Well, thank you for sticking around. I know it went a little later than expected, but very, very appreciative. Anytime you want back on, come on, even if it's short. If you ever want to just interview, we love it. We love inviting people like new athletic directors, activity directors. But if you ever want to come back on, we'd love to have you. It's been fun getting to know you. Great story. I love the Tony Bennett story. I didn't even think about that. Didn't know you were personally from Marinette, so that's probably why. But fun time.
One last thing, and then I swear I'll shut up the rest of the time.
Thank you.
I promise. Hey, next Tuesday we are planning to cut our big high school football preview podcast.
Yes.
So the way it's breaking down right now is Mr. Scribner there. Scrib is going to be covering the Big Rivers Conference, as I understand it.
Yep.
Gibby is going to do the Middle Border Conference, and I am working on the Dunn St. Croix Conference preview. So we should have a high school football intense show next week where we break down the three local conferences.
And then 2 days later, we're up 9 days away from football.
Yes, 9 days away.
We'll be on the field in 9 days, Tigers against the Tigers of Marshfield. All right, well, thanks for coming on. I'm Scrib.
I'm Brank.
And we got Jason Wolf. Thank you.